Come on, our.
All right, we're live now on YouTube. We're about to be live on Instagram. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dr. Kiltz. Good morning, Kaitlin.
Good morning, Alia. Good morning, Kaitlin. How you doing today?
It's early.
It's early. Where are you in this beautiful world?
I'm in Utah.
Oh, no, you're right. It is. So
It's
thank you
early.
for
Wow.
being up so early. Appreciate you.
Yeah, it's not much earlier than I normally get up. I'm usually up at about 4:30, so it's only a little earlier.
Yeah. I'm usually up between 3 and 4 every day.
Yeah.
Well, we're just kind of getting going this morning. We got Leon, we got Libya, Tommy, we got Kingdom Way, Keto to Carnivore, and others. We're on Kiltz Mighty Tribe this morning. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and more. And
more.
We're here to learn about your story on bariatric surgery, carnivore, your life journey. So maybe you could start the day and say hello to everyone, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
My story is actually probably a lot like a lot of the other stories that you hear. You know, I went through years of struggling with weight. I got heavy pretty early on. I was probably about 9 years old, and I just gained a bunch of weight over a summer. And at that age, you don't really think too much about weight. You're just kind of being a kid. But by the time I got to junior high, it became a problem. And I was in like the 7th grade, and I weighed in at about 200 pounds. And I'm not a very tall person. I'm barely over 5 feet tall. I'm 5'3". So I was 200 pounds. And, at that age, you start to, I was probably about 12 years old. You start to really start paying attention to that, especially when you're a girl. And so I started getting into dieting and stuff. And I probably did a lot of, I know that I did a lot of things that was probably not the right things to do. And back then you could get diet pills that had ephedrine in it, because they hadn't banned. Yeah, they hadn't banned that yet. So that was not good. Not good. Because I remember getting the jitters, and I didn't really have a lot of caffeine. So that was like my first dose of stimulants that I had ever remember having in my life. And I was probably about 14, 15 years old when I started taking those and trying to lose weight. And I tried all the hacks and stuff and all the things that you would think about trying. And, some of them worked, some of them didn't. There was a lot of restriction. I definitely went through a lot of body dysmorphia. I definitely had an unhealthy relationship with my weight and my body image. I had some issues with, I even, wanted to hurt myself for sure. I went through that. It wasn't a good time, being a teenager and being overweight and being female. It was not a good time. But then, so I ended up moving away from home when I was 19. I moved in with at that time, he was just a friend. He's now my husband. You're talking over 25, 30 years ago. Moved to California. So I was living in Indiana, which was where I was born. And then I moved to California when I was 19. And then I started to get comfortable. So I had lost a little bit of weight over my teenage years. And then I started to get comfortable and happy. And when you get happy, you get fat and happy. So I got fat again. And I got really fat. And I got really bad. I ended up getting up to over 250 pounds. Actually, when we got married in 2002, I was 250 pounds. And I was not in a good place. And I remember hearing about bariatric surgery. And at the time, the lap band wasn't really so common. It was mostly the gastric bypass, the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass that was the most common. So I remember going to the doctor and asking them about that. And at the time they told me, well, I didn't have a BMI high enough to qualify. Yeah. Yeah. And here I am. I'm struggling to climb stairs, and oh, my dog is being needy. Get down. I got a little bulldog. Anyway, so yeah, so I thought that was kind of crazy. And my BMI was high, and I was struggling to climb stairs. I was struggling to just do things, and I was only 26 years old. And I said, there's got to be something. And she kind of said, without telling me to do so, that if I wanted to have the surgery, that I was going to need to gain weight. I should have known then with that kind of advice, though she didn't actually say it. She kind of went a roundabout way of saying it. She didn't discourage it. I should have known that was a red flag, that no, I shouldn't be listening to these people. But I went on to gain the weight, and I went on to qualify for the surgery. And then I had the surgery in 2007. And after I had the surgery, I lost a bunch of weight, and it was easy and it was great. I ended up losing. So I had my heaviest, I was 290 pounds before I had surgery. I ended up losing quite a bit of weight. I got down to below 130 pounds, and I felt really good. And I was really able to be mobile and be active. I started playing sports, actually. And I started to play semi-professional football, women's football. So I played that for a while, and I was able to I got a lot of my life back at that point. So it wasn't probably the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. And going back, I would probably do it again, but I don't know. I really don't know. But, then I went through years and years of I started to gain some weight back because, bariatric surgery doesn't teach you what to eat, how to eat, any of that stuff. And in 2010, I started to notice some really strange reactions that I was having. And I didn't connect it to the bariatric surgery, but what I was noticing is I was getting the shakes and the sweats, and I was disoriented. And I had gaps in my memory, and things were happening and I wasn't aware of them. And one evening after we had dinner, I remember waking up in my living room. I don't remember what happened, but I remember waking up in my living room. There were 2 paramedics in the living room. I was covered in sweat. My clothes were completely soaked, drenched. They had an IV bag attached to me that I later found out to be a nice big dose of glucagon that they were pumping into me. Apparently, my blood sugar had actually dropped to 25, and that I was kind of going into what could have been a diabetic coma. I had no idea what was going on. I ended up at the hospital. They explained to me that my pancreas was making too much insulin, or making a lot of insulin. And they basically sent me home with a glucose meter and said, oh, good luck. Didn't tell me anything. Didn't tell me even how to use it, what the numbers meant. I knew absolutely nothing. And here I am. I'm 20. I think I was 28 years old at the time. And I was like, I was 29. And I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what's happening. And then, of course, over the years, it kept happening. I would probably have an episode, probably once a month. Nothing as extreme as that. But about once a month, I'd have a pretty bad one. But once a week, or even twice a week, I'd have at least little mild symptoms throughout the week. It wasn't until 2016 that I started to make some connections to diet. So up until this point, I hadn't been diagnosed with anything. I was still having symptoms. But in 2016, I had a former friend of mine actually suggest a ketogenic diet. And I was really doing it to try to lose some weight because I had gained some more weight back. I was back up to about 190 pounds at that point. So I went I had gained back about 60 pounds over those years. And so I went on the ketogenic diet, and for the first time, I noticed that I wasn't having any of these weird symptoms. And I still hadn't really figured out what it was. But that was definitely my aha moment for sure. It's like, there's something to this. There's something to the diet that I'm eating and this, whatever it is that I have. So I actually stayed on the ketogenic diet for quite a while. I lost a bunch of weight. I actually think I lost 40 pounds, and I started feeling really good. We moved to Utah. I started playing sports again because I had lost a little bit of mobility when I had put on that weight. And I started playing sports again. I played some more women's football, and, you know, and then things went on for years like that. I still had symptoms periodically, though they weren't nearly as bad, but I let the carbohydrates, of course, creep back in, because you go on the ketogenic diet, you don't let everything go. You're still consuming some carbohydrate. And of course, I was not doing keto right. I was doing the keto junk, the keto treats. It just wasn't, I wasn't nourishing myself the way that I should have been. And it just allowed that stuff to creep back in. So then I tried, you know, like the paleo diet, and I did something called Trim Healthy Mama, and I did a Whole30, and I really went on like a diet binge for years. I just went back to old habits of dieting, though I think I was dieting better, and I definitely was starting to learn more over that period. It still wasn't good. I didn't have the body dysmorphia really anymore, and I wasn't really doing it so much to lose weight. I was doing it to really feel normal. Like, I just didn't want to deal with the symptoms. I wanted to be able to eat a so-called quote unquote normal diet, just eat like everybody else, have a normal life, not have to deal with this stuff anymore. Yeah. So at some point, it became where it wasn't working for me. And on Thanksgiving of last year, I had a friend have us over for Thanksgiving dinner, and I had a plate. I made myself up a plate, and I was already pretty conscious at this point of like kind of what worked and kind of what didn't work. So I just made a big old plate of like some turkey. And I always liked the dark meat. So I went for the fatty dark meat. It's what I always liked. And I'd eat the skin and stuff. So I always was into the fatty meat stuff. And then I had a little bit of green beans and a couple little bites of sweet potato, but it was mostly meat. Like at this point, my plates were, you know, mostly meat. I would say at least half my plate was meat. And then something happened that evening. I had one of the worst reactions I had probably had in several years, and that was it. After that, I was like, I can't keep doing this anymore. This diet thing's not working. I'm more and more sensitive to carbohydrates. I'm more and more sensitive to eating anything other than meat. So I had heard about the carnivore diet years before from Michaela Peterson. I follow her, and I follow her dad, and I heard about it from her, but it's not something I ever tried, but I had tried it intermittently because, like I said, I always loved meat. But it was at that point where I just binged all things carnivore. I think I started with, I watched a lot of Steak and Butter Gals videos, kind of see where to get started. I think I found you. I found Dr. Barry. And I just started binging it, all things carnivore. And then, so it was probably in December that I was eating pretty much mostly carnivore. And then by January, I was 100% all in.
Wow.
And yeah, and I have had no symptoms at all. I feel absolutely incredible. And I've had so many other things get better that I was not expecting. Like, this is like keto. This is like the keto diet, but better.
Supercharged. It's a keto diet, but it's supercharged because we're not eating the toxic plants.
Right.
So that, right?
You're right.
So tell us a little about the other things that you improved on.
So my skin is starting to heal up. I've been on this for about 6 months now. And my skin is starting to heal up, though it has been slow. But I tell you, the biggest thing for me, and I have a really pretty busy life. So I work full time and I'm in college right now. And the biggest thing for me was I always felt like I had ADHD, although I wasn't diagnosed with it. I always felt like I had difficulties concentrating, sitting down for any length of time, really concentrating on doing things. And since I've been on Carnivore, I'm super laser focused. I can sit down and I can concentrate on things for a long period of time without being distracted. So I'm so much more productive. That has been humongous for me.
Awesome.
Like that really has really been humongous. I have a ton of energy. Sometimes I have so much energy I don't know what to do with it. Like it's crazy. Like I had the extra energy when I was on keto, but this is definitely supercharged for sure. My hair has gotten better. I don't have bleeding gums anymore. My psoriasis, I have psoriasis on the back of my scalp here. That has improved quite a bit. God, so many things. But the biggest thing is I feel like I have my life back. That was the reason I went on Carnivore, is I wanted to get my life back. I was tired of having anxiety about food. I was tired of the food noise and just always being anxious of, is the next thing I'm going to eat, is that going to kill me? Because I was so afraid of eating, because I felt like anything I ate could have been the next thing that was going to actually, flare up my reactive hypoglycemia reactions. And I just didn't want that. I wanted that to go away. And that has gotten I feel like I'm past it, but I think you're always in recovery when you're dealing with stuff like this. Like, I don't think it's ever going to completely go away. It just gets easier. So, yeah, but that's the biggest thing for me.
And tell us a little bit about your current eating habits. How often do you eat, and exactly what do you eat?
So I find that I really am only hungry to eat about twice a day, which is definitely a big change from what I was doing before. I was probably eating 6 times a day before. So I eat about twice a day. Mostly the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs is pretty much what my staple is. I've tried to eat other things, and I just don't I don't like chicken like I used to. And I was always into the dark meat, but I don't like chicken. It's just not satisfying. I try to make myself have some salmon at least once a week. But mostly it's beef, butter, bacon, eggs. And I'll make the eggs and the beef all kinds of different ways. I love chuck roast. That's probably like my big staple. I always make a big chuck roast every week. I keep that in the fridge, and I'll make some eggs to go with that. I'll make a ribeye for dinner. I've even tried to include lamb. So I've started to eat lamb. So I have lamb probably every couple weeks. But mostly that's really all I eat. I do still drink coffee, but I did try to go off coffee. Like I tried twice, and I went off for 2 long periods of time in the last 6 months, and I didn't feel like it made any difference. So I just added it back in. So it's the one kind of normal thing that I've held on to. But other than that, yeah, I would say that I'm 99% on Carnivore. Other than the coffee, I'm pretty much 100% in.
I think some coffee sometimes is okay.
Well, I have it more than sometimes, but just in the morning.
I think that's okay. I think, again, you're living the lifestyle that's changed your life more so than anything else. And I think that's what we're finding in our carnivore community, that, so many of us have suffered for years, and finally finding Carnivore has been like the game changer. One of the things you had on, I see pump on your shirt, and I see it looks like you have a cage. How much exercise, resistance work, or what is your habits in general for exercise?
Well, if I could, I would probably lift 4 or 5 times a week. But I'm in college and I'm, and I work, so I don't lift as often as I want to. But I do make sure that I do some kind of weightlifting 3 times a week. I've been pretty consistent with at least 2 times a week, but I try for 3. I like the powerlifting style. So I like the squat, the bench press, the deadlift. So I do a lot of barbell type work. And then as far as other kinds of exercise, I love going out for a walk. I do that a lot. I have a walking desk at home, so I use that. I actually usually, this morning was an exception because it was so early, but I usually start my morning with at least about 2,000 steps before I even sit down. So I try to make sure that I do that because I sit a lot at my job. And then obviously I sit a lot with doing all my schoolwork. So I try to make sure that I get some kind of movement in every day. And then I do, like I said, I strength train 2 to 3 days a week.
How about fasting? Tell us a little bit about, do you do any fasting either intermittently throughout the day or have you done any extended fasting, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days yet?
I find that I don't really do really well with fasting, though I do find, and I've had a couple times over the last several weeks where I've been able to go along longer periods of time without eating. But I just find like I don't do quite as well with the fasting. I would like to be able to fast, but I don't know what it is, but I don't feel really well. So if I do any kind of a fasting, it's more like it's not really fasting, but it's like a fat fast where I'm really just having fats and not really having anything else. And I've done a couple days like that actually over the last couple of weeks where I just had a day where I just didn't really feel like eating anything. Like the thought of really eating anything really didn't appeal to me. So if I wanted something, I would would cook up a little bit of like some beef suet, or I'd start my morning with like a fatty coffee. And that was really about it. But that's been the extent of my fasting, but it's not really, I guess that's not technically a fast. So yeah, I've tried fasting. I just don't do really well with it.
Well, I think as we begin to look at fat fasting, there are lots of different ways to do this versus our standard way of sitting down, having 3 meals a day. What was the rationale? What was your eating habit like prior to carnivore in the keto world? Were you doing 2 meals a day, 1 meal a day, or were you still doing the standard 3 meals a day?
Oh, I was probably eating 3 to 4 times a day still, even with keto. I had bariatric surgery, so I can't really eat a whole lot. That's the other problem too, is I can't do that 1 meal a day because I just would not be able to get all my nutrition in. Like there's just no way. I don't have the stomach capacity for that. I just would not be able to do that. I've sat down and tried to like eat a 1 pound ribeye. I can't do it. And so if I was trying to make that my 1 meal, I would be extremely nutrient deficient. Especially if I did that for any length of time. I just cannot get enough nutrition in 1 meal. So I was still eating about 3 to 4 meals a day. Even when I was doing keto, it was much smaller meals. And a lot of times it was like two regular meals and then 2 like what I would call mini meals, more like snacks. And that was really the only way I was able to get my nutrition in, because I tracked my calories and my macros for years. I've done all of that. Like I said, if there's a diet out there or a method of trying to lose weight or anything, I've done it. And I tracked obsessively for years and years. That was actually a really hard thing to let go when I went to carnivore, is I kept wanting to track. And I did keep tracking for quite a while. And then I said, you know what? I need to stop doing that. I need to stop tracking my calories. I need to stop tracking my macros. I need to stop tracking my weight. I need to stop it. It's become an obsession. And I'm still struggling with a little bit, though I've stopped tracking the macros and the calories and everything, though I do still pay attention to my weight. I really need to throw the scale away. I really need to do it. I just got to get rid of it. Yeah. But yeah, so I was eating 3 to 4 meals a day just so I could do it. And now I feel like I can get enough nutrition in 2 meals, though I think my body will go through periods where I do that for a while, and then I'll have a day that I just want to eat everything, and I'll eat 3 times. And then maybe have a snack on top of that, even on carnivore, because I think I go through those periods where I'm not really hungry. I eat the 2 meals, but I'm under eating because I'm not tracking anymore. But I know that I can't eat much at each meal. So I'm sure after going through a long period of time of under eating, my body just says, that's it. You can't keep doing this. You got to feed me. Because I lift and I work out and I move around, and I'm burning off all that energy, and at some point it catches up with you and you're like, okay, you got to feed me. So I go through refeed days. So I don't go through the fasting so much. I go through refeed. Like probably every couple weeks that happens. I'll go through a day or 2 where I just want to eat everything.
There's a lot of stories in our habits that have been sort of brought into us because of our environment. I imagine 50,000 years ago, if you had to hunt for a week to get food, and then you feasted on the food, and then you fasted for days or weeks for most of our evolution, I imagine. And so it's kind of a hard one because our environment has food around everywhere. There's science, there's food, there's snacks, so even when we're carnivore, this idea of I mean, is our body really deplete of nutrients, or is it really just poisoned by plants?
Right.
And ultimately by fasting, even for 10 days, we're healthier than we can ever be, because now our poisons have been sort of processed in the liver to detoxify them, and our fat is actually the best tissue on our body, and very few of us really eat fat, raw fat, and focus on that as anti-inflammatory, nutrient dense and rich, which is, it's sort of, we should have fat pills, which we're working on. And that's where liver comes in essence, because the liver makes a lot of fat. And so when you dehydrate it and powder it and pill it, you're getting both the cellular contents, which contains fat, and the minerals and vitamins that our body requires. So that's kind of an amazing idea in all this. Do we have some questions coming up here?
We do have questions.
Let's hear a couple of questions and see if we have some things here for Kaitlin. Just go right to the
Linda,
start.
do we need to take vitamins? Like, what's that?
Are you on the starred group?
Yeah, I'm on the starred group.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so do we need to take vitamins like D or K?
I take vitamin D and vitamin K, not so much in the summertime when I'm able to get outside, but I think you probably do. Yeah, I would say at least a little bit. I mean, if you get out in the sun a lot, maybe not so much, but yeah, I would still say that most people probably need vitamin D and vitamin K at least a couple times a week. Yeah,
I think organ meats, liver supplements, eating the liver, eating the fat, organ meats are great, and supplementing with K, D, and a good multivitamin. It's like one of those. It's just icing on the cake in essence. I agree with that. Next question.
Sharon, do you work out every day? I believe you already answered this. How often? Why do you look so fit? I believe you already answered this.
Well, just give me one. 3 to 4 times a week.
I would, like I said, I would lift every day if I could, but I got a very busy life, so I do what I can.
What are you studying in school?
Nutrition science.
Is the nutrition science you're learning truthful and accurate?
Well, I'm going to say that not really. But I'm hoping that because I'm going into this with a lot of information, that I can maybe stir things up a little bit and in that realm. Like I said, I really started to get into nutrition after I figured out diet being the connection to all my issues, and I really got into it. So I really want to help people, but I want to help them in the right way, and I want to try to overturn all this nonsense that they're teaching in schools. But yeah, they're still teaching the nonsense. It's absolutely terrible, the things that they tell diabetics to eat. It's insane. Like, I wouldn't even tell a normal, healthy person to eat the way that they tell diabetics to eat. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, my sister Marianne passed of diabetes at 52, of heart failure, type 1, and American Diabetic Association recommends a plant protein, low-fat diet and 3 to 6 meals a day. And if you want to take a little something, get a little insulin. So you're right. So, all right, next question. Chris B.
That's nonsense.
How do you handle the fat? I can only get so much in before it causes dumping syndrome. Not as bad as sugar, but bad enough.
You get dumping syndrome with fat. You shouldn't be having dumping syndrome with fat. I only ever dealt with dumping syndrome when I would eat carbohydrates. Dumping syndrome was definitely never connected to fat, for sure. That's kind of interesting. I'm not sure why that's happening. I would wonder if they have their gallbladder.
Well, diarrhea, is very common, especially rendered fat. And
okay.
Fat. And that's why raw fat, unpasteurized, but to get just mix the fat with the protein. I do raw meat. I think it's the best, or raw to rare, with a lot of white stuff on it. All the fat is like critical. I think that's one of the things we're truly missing in our diet. And here's a steak I ate last night. You see all the white. and
nice.
It was cold. It was cold, unrendered fat, which I think is the healthiest thing to eat.
Yeah, I'm not there.
Not yet, but that's who we are. In our ancient ancestral nature, we hunted, we killed the beast, we ate it raw. And so I think if you're not healing, it's go carnivore, and go raw fatty meat. But again, it doesn't, it's kind of like telling people to go carnivore for most of our skin. Right? People do that. But in fact, because chicken, fish, turkey, and most meat you're cooking, you cook away all the fat.
True. Yeah.
And so it's sort of this idea, well, wait a minute. Well, what is fat good for our body? You better believe it is. Fat on your body is the healthiest thing in your body. And if you think about it, it's the fuel. Sugar, gluconeogenesis, sugar is not your fuel. It's a silk away from fatty acids in the form of ketones, which are there always. So,
right.
But I would say just don't render it and mix it with some proteins. The lean meat, fatty meat.
Yeah, I dealt with the diarrhea early on. I had my gallbladder out too. So actually, right before I had bariatric surgery, I had my gallbladder out, and so I had to kind of ease it into the fat. But now I've got myself to a point where I don't have the diarrhea anymore. Now here's another thing: constipation. I forgot to mention that. So I went through years and years after I had bariatric surgery. I had chronic constipation. Horrible constipation. It gave me hemorrhoids. It was terrible. And I ended up actually having 2 bowel obstruction surgeries during that time too. And I actually had part of my bowel removed. So not only have I had gastric bypass, I've had part of my duodenum removed. And so I have terrible absorption issues. That has been actually a big struggle for me on the carnivore diet, is with absorbing the nutrients from my food. So my diet really has to be very nutrient dense, because I just don't absorb most of what I eat. And I really think that it was it was definitely adding more and more fiber into my diet, because they always told you need fiber so that you could have regularity. That was definitely not the truth for me. If anything, fiber actually made things worse for me and made me even more constipated. And then obviously, having the bowel obstructions. I don't know if the two are connected, but boy, I'll tell you, I would not be surprised if those two weren't connected, because I would have, like I said, I had constipation for years, and then having that, and I definitely don't have gas and bloating anymore. And I definitely haven't had any bowel obstruction type symptoms. So, and I'm regular, and I don't have the hemorrhoids. It's fantastic. I don't need fiber.
All of the diseases we suffer from are plant protein, low fat diseases. Plant and fiber, which are deadly for humanity. And so the Occam's, it's really such a simple concept here, that all of our diseases are plant protein, low fat. And if you think about it, fruit, fiber, vegetables, seeds, nuts, even chicken, fish, turkey, filet mignon, and most meat, even take a brisket. If you overcook it, which most of us do, the fat all melts away. And so by basically going fatty meat, rare to raw carnivore, you're now removing the toxins to the bowel, which caused IBS, Crohn's, cancers. It causes when we use the word constipation, it's bloating, pain, and feels like you got to go, but it's not coming out. But that's all related to the inflammation of the colon and fermentation. A couple of questions here from Kiltz Mighty Tribe. Do you take digestive enzymes?
Yes.
And which ones?
I get them from Maszymes. So MASSZYMES. And it's got all the different enzymes in it. The lipase, the amylase, all that stuff. Not that I need the amylase, but
And let's see. What do you do especially to absorb nutrients? I think, I don't think in general our problem is absorbing nutrients. In my opinion, our problem is bowel inflammation. So we're not nutrient deficient. We're inflamed, poisoned. That's what I believe. Our problem is not nutrient deficiency. It's poisoning by plants. If you remove the plants and you focus on the meat, you now remove the toxins, the poisons. Because ultimately, I was watching Primal Bod Candy. Basically pufferfish. Let's see, some snakes. There aren't many meats that are poisonous. So I think that's an important one. Talking about gallbladder, I've had 3 to 4 gallbladder attacks in the last 2 years since being carnivore-ish. Seems to be when I've tried a lot of fat, meat, and dairy fat. Any suggestions, Diane Jackson? My sense again is the liver is making bile. The gallbladder is still damaged if you have it because of a low-fat diet in general. And I would bet most carnivores still eat a low-fat diet. And that's the biggest.
Well, and it's also possible that this person might actually have gallstones and may actually just need to go and have their gallbladder removed. That might actually just be the case.
Or do some fasting, allow the gallbladder to heal a little bit, and then resolve those. And because again, the fasting, I believe, is one of the best things we can do to heal, and we don't use it enough. But before surgery, because I know my partner they want to take her gallbladder out. She said no, and she healed over some fasting, and that helped her tremendously. So, but you're right. There's some times when you need it gone. So mine was pretty bad. It was pretty impacted, and I actually had to have emergency surgery. It was actually pretty bad. And I found that interesting that they say that the years of eating the low fat diets is actually
is what they believe causes a lot of those problems with the gallbladder. And I never realized that. And of course, I lived in the 80s and the 90s, which was the low fat phase, the low fat craze. Yeah. So
Well,
I'm sure I didn't help.
I see many carnivores overcook their meat and cut the fat away if it's there. Yeah. And so I think that's one of the biggest problems for sure. But
we need to stop thinking we're smarter than the body. The body is really, really smart. It's going to do what it needs to do. We need to quit trying to hack the system.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Next question, Alia.
Okay. Next question is, oops. Oh, that wasn't the next question, but there you go. J Bud, Kaitlin, are you a 49ers fan?
Actually, I am, but it's more my husband.
Okay.
Yeah. My husband's a big Niners fan, but I like the Niners too.
Great. Okay, this is the next question. No Carb Barb. Kaitlin, what are you going to college for?
Nutrition science. I was originally going to go and be a dietitian, but then I realized how corrupt the American Dietetics Association was. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that. I don't want to be pigeonholed into their nonsense. I want to go and do my own thing and really, really, really help people.
Great. Love that. Next question. This is for Dr. Kiltz. This one's from Instagram. It's Joe Kama 85. Hi there. Pregnant 6 weeks. First pregnancy, 39 years old. Currently struggling with energy and hungry. Not hungry very much. Slightly nauseous in the mornings. Mostly carnivore currently. Any tips?
It's normal in early pregnancy. It says don't put that poisonous food in this body. I think nausea and vomiting and hyperemesis in the first trimester is pretty normal, especially on a standard diet. And I would say that that's why we get fat, is to fuel the fetus throughout the gestation, and especially early gestation. And my bet is we were probably nesters, hibernators for many thousands of years in a cave and just resting. So I'd say it's rest more. When you don't have energy, it's rest, reset. This idea where I have energy, I mean, we're pushed to energy drinks and caffeine, coffee, and those sort of things. In fact, and it's like, I'm tired, I take a nap. And I think, your body says rest. Listen to the body. And stay carnivore and focus on fat. Butter, stick of butter, suck on a stick of butter. 100%. One of the most nutrient dense foods you can eat is butter, especially raw butter.
Great. Here's the next one. Darlene Brubacker from Facebook. How do you get a strong enough mindset not to cheat? I am struggling to eat pure carnivore because I gain weight. And I don't understand if I eat too much fat or not enough. I eat 2 a day. I don't think I should be gaining. So it's frustrating. There you go. That's the question. What do you think?
Well, I noticed if I don't eat enough fat, I definitely get more food noise. So maybe they're not eating enough fat.
We're not supposed to be skinny.
Yeah.
The problem is we've created a world of you've got to be skinny. First, we told us all to eat incorrectly, and now we've gotten massively overweight. But in fact, we weren't there when we just lived our lives and our body did what it was supposed to do. But obesity is not a disease, and carnivore doesn't mean you're not going to gain weight, because the brain is smarter. I mean, can you imagine if the riots in LA spread to all of Southern California and suddenly there was no food distribution and you had no food for a month, 2 or 3? Would you rather be fat or skinny? So this idea that fat is a pathologic condition is not. So I would say, hey, I'm healthy and well. And plus, I never cheat. I treat from time to time. I never give negative thought to anything in my life, ever. And so I'm beautiful, healthy, and well. I don't care if you're 300 pounds, 200 pounds, or 100 pounds, or 600 pounds. Start with, I am healthy and well. and I feel amazing. And I'm a lion. I'm a carnivore. That's my 2 cents.
There you go.
On Rick said, what does Rick say?
He's like, we're not supposed to be skinny. Rick is very tall and skinny.
Right. But again, it all depends on the environment. Again,
Right.
if it depends on the time of season. I mean, many animals, if they do not gain 1,000 pounds, they're dead by spring. And so people need to understand the normal physiology of the human body. I mean, food, your brain does not know there's a cupboard full of food, refrigerator full of food, and someone's going to deliver us all the food you want. The brain is still thinking lack of food is around the corner. So when there's abundance in the springtime, you're going to eat up until you get completely satiated. So just the normal physiology.
Yeah.
There you go. Lindsay asks, have you found any problems with hair loss with the under eating?
No, I don't think, I don't think I'm under eating for long enough because I'm having the refeed. So no, actually my hair has gotten healthier. I used to pull out clumps and clumps of hair when I would wash my hair and then I would brush it. I'd pull out clumps of hair. I'm not doing that anymore. And my hairdresser tells me how much healthier my hair is. So no, I'm not having that issue because I'm refeeding.
Rare to raw fatty meat, salt and water, and you're right. And again, it's the plants and protein that are deadly for humans in a low-fat diet. But there will be some times where cyclically you're going to have some hair loss for some people, and mostly it grows back.
Yeah, I lost a lot of hair when I lost my weight when I had bariatric surgery. I lost a lot of hair during that first year and a half, 2 years. My hair actually got so thin that I couldn't even pull it back in a ponytail. So yeah, it definitely happens with extreme weight loss. You will lose hair.
What was your diet?
Oh, it was pretty much just I ate when I was hungry, when I could, and I just kind of ate whatever.
You weren't a carnivore then.
Oh, no.
I don't think it's the weight loss. It's the toxins that come with plant antigens.
Well, I'm sure that didn't help.
No, because losing weight, you again, when we're in a fast, especially hibernation, gestation, nesting, or migrating, your body is completely healthy and well as long as you have enough fat on your body, because it's the fuel. But when you bring in the plant toxins, that's where you damage and cause the inflammation, a low-fat diet. But it's mostly the plants that are our biggest culprit in causing the damage to the hair follicles, the thyroid gland, the goitrogenic foods. I mean, I showed this yesterday. We got a list. This is on our website, correct, Alia? I'll make goitrogenic foods. Remember yesterday?
I will make sure it is. I'm sure it is, and I'll make it easily found on the website.
Yeah. You're awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I think these are just like when you had your hypoglycemic attack. There are things called glucokinins. These are substances that act like insulin, and they come from plants. And so basically, when we take in all this insulin-like substances, it's going to drive down the glucose levels, and we're going to be hypoglycemic. It's just like giving an injection of insulin. That's one of our.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm learning new things every day too.
Me too.
Okay, here we go. Sissy, Dr. Kiltz, does the body overcorrect itself by staying on carnivore for an extended period of time? That's an interesting question.
Overcorrect. Let's see. Does the body overcorrect itself by staying on carnivore? I mean, we're carnivores, and you don't have to eat plants. And I don't know the definition of overcorrecting, harming yourself. Maybe it just kind of suggesting that it's not good in the long term, but I think it is. I think staying carnivore is great. No such thing as overcorrection, maybe.
I don't think there is. I don't think you can overcorrect.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
All right, here we go. Elke question. So much info for women. Eat in the morning to help lower cortisol. Not good to fast for women. Others say it's great. So is longer fasting okay for everyone, or just eat early and fast through the night? That's a fasting question. What do you guys think?
Fasting is built into our evolution. We're natural fasters, and we
I
evolved.
think you should just do it naturally.
But again, it's doing. I think doing 2 to 3 days of fasting monthly is healthy for us. It's not required, but that's our nature, because you want to empty the gut and let the gut heal and rest. And true fasting is no food in the gut, which takes at least 3 days for most of us, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I think it's really helpful personally. And
Okay,
and I
next
eat at night
question.
personally. I eat at night. I feel the best that way.
Yeah, I prefer to eat later and then in the morning just not eat, and then not eat again until probably lunchtime the next day is typically probably pretty much how I fast. Is I'll eat dinner at say 6 o'clock, and then I won't eat again until like noon the next day. Yeah.
We have another question here from Leanna Griffin on Kiltz Mighty Tribe. What's the best way to avoid gout flare-ups starting carnivore or keto lifestyle? It's focused on fat. Fat does not cause a gout. Proteins and plants do. And so I think one of the best ways is to focus on fat, butter, raw to rare. Look at Pottinger's cats, and eat less frequently is another one. Any tips for you? Have you ever had gout, Kaitlin?
No, I've been fortunate to not have that, but I fear that I might eventually get it. I don't know. Maybe if I stay on this, I probably won't.
Have no fear. Life is good. Yes, I agree. And it's not necessary to add raw butter, but I think it's one of the best things you could do.
It's delicious.
Yeah, it is. And raw is really the right way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, next question, and I will answer this one from Rhea Hawkins. How can I make an appointment with coaching for Dr. Nelson? It is the link to sign up for coaching with Dr. Nelson is listed in the description below. So that's easy access. It's a Calendly link, or you can go to the website, drkiltz.com. But I would just go below. It's right there.
We're going to be adding more coaches with the coaches at Kiltz Mighty Tribe, drkiltz.com and Kiltz Health. And Dr. Nelson is the medical director leading the way to increase the number of coaches so healthcare can be simply you take control of your health. And we rarely need the MD, DO, the standard medical system, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would like to be able to get into that at some point, into the coaching for sure.
Great.
You're already, it seems to me. What's the purpose of your YouTube and putting it out there?
Is to educate people on nutrition and carnivore. Yeah.
Coach education. I mean, that really is.
Yeah.
You don't need a degree. You don't need a license. You don't need a certification, in my opinion. You're already doing the work. You have experience and knowledge. People want to hear from you, Kaitlin, for sure. So thank you for what you're doing.
Okay, we are running out of time.
What's the prize today? What's the prize
today? It's
today?
a Kiltz Health t-shirt. A surprise Kiltz Health t-shirt.
Awesome. You got to get, where's our Meet My Food t-shirts?
They're at headquarters. I will make sure we get those out.
Get some of those, and I think we need to get some of those up there for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I'm wearing one today. Oh, you can't see what the I'm wearing it.
Yes.
Awesome.
Meet My Food t-shirts.
Meet My Food.
DMT and our Meet My Food hats.
It was just really cold here, so I had to wear my jacket. Okay. I want to say something, Rachel, too. My dad recently diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. He wants to use fasting, carnivore, and natural remedies instead of chemotherapy. Do you know of anything about using ivermectin to fight cancer?
I don't know that answer, but I know a lot of people are doing it between ivermectin, fasting, carnivore, and faith. Fat is what you want to focus on, not lean meat. And look at Paleo Medicina, Sophia Clemens. We got to get Sophia on again soon and do another link up with her. I think those are really important, in my opinion. If you look at Thomas Seyfried, and if you, he talks a lot about integrating Eastern Western practices, nutrition, mindset, and also we're having our June 28th in Boston. Just go to the link. You put a link here. Go to KiltzMeetup.com, right, Alia?
Yep. Sorry. Yes. I want to say something, Rachel. Your dad should come to our Boston meetup because we have, if he can, we have Thomas Seyfried speaking. June 28th. Come, bring him. Thomas Seyfried speaking, all about cancer and metabolic health. Let's see here. Dawn. Oh, we'll take this last question. I have heard our body stores toxins in our fat if it can't get rid of it all from the body. So if we animal fat on carnivore, wouldn't we be eating toxins the animal took in?
Nope, it does not store toxins in fat, in my opinion. The liver's job is to take away the toxins and detoxify them, but our damaged liver reduces that. Basically, the toxins go to every cell of your body. That's why we're sick. As you go carnivore, fatty meat, salt water, and fasting, the toxins then will be removed. But adipose tissue does not contain the toxins, in my opinion. I think that's wrong. I think it's in every cell of your body. And the liver, remember, the liver has two main functions. One is to make fat, and two is to detoxify toxins. And if you don't eat plants, there's limited to no toxins in your diet. If you just eat fatty meat, what toxins in a ribeye steak?
None.
And I want to say, like, when you eat fat, it's delicious. Your body says it's delicious. Your tongue, your brain say it's delicious. When you eat kale, you say it's disgusting. There's a reason for that.
And lean meat and a well-cooked steak is not healthy for you.
Right. Okay, so we should do the giveaway.
Let's go for it.
I'm doing it. I'm setting up the screen. Here we go. I gotta press the button. 100 entries. Here we go. Thank you, everybody, for entering into the game. Drum roll. Always be kind. Congratulations. Awesome. You are the proud winner of a Kiltz Mighty Tribe t-shirt. Most likely this one. Meet my food. Give me an email. Email me at alia@drkiltz.com with your name, address, and phone number, and we will get that shipped out to you right away.
alia@drkiltz.com.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's right. The receiver of all communications.
Right. I just put it in the Kaitlin, any other last minute words, and where can people find you?
No last final words. You can find me. I have a YouTube channel. It's the Bariatric Carnivore. It's the_bariatric_carnivore, or you can find me on Instagram at the Bariatric Carnivore. And yeah, I just hope that I can, I hope I can help people not have to go through some of the crazy things that I had to go through, and really just get on a health journey early on in their life and not have to deal with, the pain. But sometimes that's how we have to learn, is have some pain and go through the pain and then find healing.
Pain and suffering.
Yeah.
Critical in life.
Yeah.
Critical in life. And buckle up and get on the roller coaster, and you're woo. And my Dr. Boz Bell, and if you haven't, has Dr. Boz been on a morning show yet?
No, I will ask her if she would like to come on this
We'll
early.
get her on a morning show. We'll get her there. Tell her we need her one day at a 6 a.m. show.
I'll tell her. I'll ask her.
We always need more cowbell for sure.
Yes, gotta find the cows.
More cowbell
every day. God bless you, Kaitlin. We so appreciate you, and everyone be here today. We appreciate you. Who's on tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Give me 1 second. We have.
Now you put her on the spot.
Moonbee. I can't remember. Yeah, exactly. Moonbee. She's a lawyer from California, and she has a great carnivore story of healing. Moonbee.
All right. We're gonna.
And then we have Livia Novak on Friday. Livia is here every day.
If anyone here would like to be on our morning show, send a message to Alia at drkiltz.com and give us a brief part of your story, what you'd like to talk about. We'd love to have you. This is a journey of sharing stories of everyone here. And again, the more stories like Kaitlin and others were growing, and then you share the story, you get you put it out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And again, we're taking control of the healthcare system. The healthcare system is not in anyone else's hands but our own. And nobody's responsible for your healthcare but you. And that's really important. And Kiltz Health, Dr. Kiltz, all Kiltz Mighty Tribe. And the Kiltz Mighty Tribe is going to stay for free. There may be other levels of investment and things you could do, but ultimately my job is I want to continue to put this out there. So people like Kaitlin, like Kiltz, because we're all the same. We're all the same physiologically, biochemically, and spiritually. So, Kaitlin, thank you.
Thank you.
More conversations and exciting healing journey.
Thank you.
Exactly.
All right. God bless.
Excellent. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.